Happy October and welcome to Wednesday. This is Tech Charged, a Turn Down for What podcast live. The fellas have been busy and out for a while, and I was feeling bad because it's been like 3 weeks since we did a podcast, and we were starting to get messages about like, hey, what's going on? And yeah, it's been hectic. It's been crazy. People have been taking some road trips, and some people have had some stuff in their personal lives. And I was like, man, there's stuff going on, and I want to put something together. So this is a special edition, and I've got some help from some fellow Lightning owners and guys that have been on the show before and that I appreciate that are part of the community. And so I'm super stoked to welcome friends of the show, TesCalendar and Tom Suburbs slash Suburban slash Lightning slash Rivian. Am I missing any names, Tom? I don't know how many different ones you have.
About 10 more, but we won't go into it. You're good.
10 more. Awesome. So yeah, we're going to touch on some stuff today. We're going to talk about the new Ford Lightning for 2026. They just opened up the order banks at the dealers. So we're going to kind of walk through some of the details that we've learned and talk about what that looks like for 2026, what is going to be there and what is conspicuously missing. And then we're going to wrap up later today talking about the new V4 Tesla Supercharger that opened out here in California and get the thoughts from the guys on that as well. So let's kick it off, though, talking about what's new and what's exciting in their world. TesCalendar, talk to us about the TesCalendar.
Yeah, so I'm Alan. I run the TesCalendar. It's a Tesla-themed calendar that's been running for 9 years in a row now. Started as a fan-wanted calendar. Nobody had sold anything like that at the time, and still there's not really much out there. So we started doing, many years ago, a photo contest to decide who would get to be in the calendar. So the fans get to enter the pictures, the fans get to vote. There's some awesome prizes from some amazing companies that make Tesla related products. And then, at the end of the contest, we are left with the calendar, and we get to sell that to any fans that want it. And all the profits go to charities. We've done climate related charities. We're looking into doing humanitarian related charities this year. So it's a lot of fun. I also have another business that's in its startup phase called Electric Wagon. It's just as it sounds. It's electric powered wagons that use your existing drill or other utility tool batteries. So that can be found at electric-wagon.com. And we're really excited about that product. Did a lot of development and testing, and fits into this whole electric theme.
Awesome. Love it. And talk about the different EVs you have, because I think you have at least 3.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong on that. Walk through those with us.
No, yeah. So I've owned EVs for 7.5 years now. Started in the Tesla world. So I've got a Tesla Model 3 now. We also have a Ford Lightning Flash. That's kind of our workhorse. Absolutely love it. And then our family hauler is a VW ID Buzz, which is just a phenomenal vehicle. It's a lot of fun and extremely practical. I kind of post about that a lot on my Twitter/X account. You can follow along, but we absolutely love it and would recommend it to anybody that wants a little bit more of a premium vehicle. It's awesome.
So jealous of that. I love the Buzz. Like whenever one drives by, I smile. I love the thing. When I was out in Norway, there were so many of them everywhere. There's just something about the vibe that is so cool, and I can't get enough of them, man. And one day we'll have to have you come back and just talk about the road trip that you did in it and just how much fun that was. So I love that you got the Buzz.
Yeah, we have a lot planned for it still. We hope to do a big road trip if we can swing that. But I will say, so far, 6 months into owning it, that allure has not gotten old. We still walk out every time. We're like, man, this is just such a cool, fun car. And it helps that it's also like an extremely comfortable ride and well built and everything like that as well.
That's so cool, man. Shout out to Ford Enthusiast who's joined us today in the comments. you guys on YouTube, if you're following us there at Turn Down for What podcast, you're able to chime in and say, hey, and ask questions and engage with the conversation. Also on my Bow Family EV channel, it's also available. X, for whatever reason, I rarely see comments pop up, so I'm not sure what that's about, but definitely on the YouTube side, you can do that. So for those that don't know, pop over there and check that out. For myself, obviously, I have the Lightning, but I did recently get a Model Y, so I am still learning how that functions. So you can see my recent adventures on my Bow Family EV channel with those. And then Tom, the Slash owner, who's got a bunch. By the way, it didn't make it on the video, but when I was in Norway with roaming Norway, William, when we saw a Suburban, and of course we thought about you, and we shouted at you out in the video, and then in the edit, it didn't make it in. And I was like, oh, where's the shout out to Tom? But we thought about you, and then we thought about Out of Spec Dave when we saw the what was that? The Nissan, dang it, what I keep wanting to call it the Avaya, but it's the
Araya, I think.
Dang it, now I'm drawing a blank out. But Dave called it something funny, and we shouted him out too. But walk through your vehicles, Tom, to start off with, because you've got the Lightning. You're in what are you in now?
So right now I'm in my R1S. I have a dual motor R1S. Would be in the Lightning. For those who followed my Twitter, Lightning had a small side swipe incident with the Ram, so that's getting worked on right now. It's the only King Ranch Lightning in the world. It has the two-tone, the badges. I'm pretty close to buying some floor mats with the King Ranch logo on them from Marketplace. I'm going all in. So I have that. I have this R1S here, Gen 2 dual motor, large pack. And then my first EV, which I I sold back in May, was a Model 3 Performance. That was my first ever EV, and that was a blast to own. And so those are my 3 EVs so far. I mean, there are many I'd like to try, but in due time, I think. But right now, I'm just having a blast with the Lightning. I recently camped out with it and powered my trailer for 5 days in it, which was pretty cool. Pro Power is amazing for those who have it. In my opinion, it's a non-negotiable. You get Lightning, you got to get Pro Power. You never know, and you might need it. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Pro Power for me is one of those things that really differentiates the Lightning from the other vehicles. It's kind of Ford's big thing that it brings to the table, kind of the way Tesla brings FSD. Yep. Ford you need to have that Pro Power. And for those that don't know, you're a contributing creator with Out of Spec, and you've got an entire video about your King Ranch there, which I just think great video, man. It was really fun to watch you develop that. And you've got your Starlink install on there, and you did a trip out to what NASCAR race was it you did out there demonstrating Pro Power and Starlink and all that?
Yeah, it was the Coke Zero Sugar 400. So it's down here in Daytona Beach, Florida. It's the Daytona has 2 races, so it wasn't the 500, but the second race of the season. And so I got a camping spot right between turns 1 and 2. A Starlink, I got a TV in there, I got the camper, I got the whole setup. So I sat there and watched qualify and everything from the camper, which was great. And amongst all the generators, mine was dead silent. And people were wondering, like, where's your generator, bud? Like, how are you powering that? And I walk them through the whole setup, and they're like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah. What was cool is how close the charger was, like right there, so you could get it completely charged up.
It was perfect, and there were more around there too. I charged at the new Iona station there, which has Alpatronic cabinets, which is amazing. And then down the street is a V3 Supercharger, so there's even more options there. And then another Supercharger on the opposite way, which I'm really glad for, a very great fuel enthusiastic sport. They were very mindful about people with EVs who come to visit and watch, and I was pretty thankful for that. I even saw a guy with a Hummer EV towing a camper in there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you were received. Captain DeSink shouting out the Pro Power, saying it's just so nice to have, and And yeah, I would think that, how many people had never seen the Lightning? How many people came up to you and asked about it? It's great to hear. It's encouraging to hear that it was well received.
Yeah, it was a lot of people. I mean, my camping neighbor walked in. He had a gas F-150, I think XLT, and he walked over. He was like, "Hey, I noticed there's a cable in your truck. Is your generator in there?" Because I had the bed cover closed. And he's like, "Is it okay? Can it breathe?" I was like, I opened the bed and it's just plugged in the outlet. He's like, "Whoa!" And so I walked him through everything, and he loved it. He was like, he might consider getting like a power boost or something, which is also great because it has pro power, and you get this massive mileage on a tank with the power boost.
Now, do either of you guys know with the power boost, does it runs off gas, doesn't it? Or does the gas charge a battery that's on board, and is it silent, or is it? And then does the gas then kick on to recharge it? I haven't had one, so I don't know how that pro power works.
I want to say it's a plug-in hybrid.
Yeah, well, honestly, Jace, who obviously isn't on, would be the best person to speak to that.
Yeah, he's had a
conversation on X a few weeks ago about that. I think there's like a tiny battery on there, and the gas engine will actually kick on while you're running to power that pro power. So the power boost is basically just a hybrid, which is correct, but it's a small battery from what I understand. So if you're pulling the power that would be required to power a camper air conditioner or whatever, you're pretty much just going to run the gas engine. But it's, one less thing, right? You don't have your drivetrain plus a generator plus what.
Yep.
And it's probably quieter, I imagine. Captain Distinct saying it uses the engine to generate power to charge the battery. But that's probably at idle. It's probably a quieter engine than what a generator would be.
Definitely. It was so loud out there. And Captain Decent, that's actually my buddy there. He was out there with me. And so he
really?
knows.
Heck yeah.
The generator noise out there was insane.
Yeah,
I was the one guy with a generator there.
That's awesome, man. So let's talk about the Ford Lightning. Let's talk about what's coming up for 2026. So I was, one of the channels that I watch a lot of times is from Long MacArthur Ford. They're out there in Salina, Kansas, not too far from where Martin Meeks, who does Martin Rebuilds, who is on the channel. He's out traveling right now, towing. He just came back from a trip from Canada. Now he's out in Oklahoma. He went out to Colorado. Man, the guy's just on the road doing all kinds of stuff, and he loves to tow. He's working on some things where he's actually trying to make his own e-rev. He's trying to get a generator that can charge the truck as he's driving, and he's getting really creative with that. Looking forward to the details on how he's pulling that off, but he's literally on the road now doing just that. He's got a generator charging his battery as he's driving. So he's not able to jump on today. So again, I appreciate you guys jumping on. But yeah, out there in Salina, Kansas, there's this dealership, Long MacArthur Ford, and Tim Bartz is known as Ford Video Guy, and he does these great these great videos. And I try to jump on them, just listen to them, watch them, chime in the comments. And I'm gonna bring up kind of the latest episode that he did, and let me find it here. I am not prepared. Shame on me. Let's see. I thought I was prepared, and now I can't find my window. Shame. Oh, that's awkward. You guys discuss as I try to get my life together. There we go. So he did this whole thing here, and it's showing the new trim levels, and you'll see that it's got the Pro level, of course, but no more XLT. It's got the STX now has replaced it. And I'll leave a link in the description after we're done with the live broadcast, so if people want to check out his channel, and I'll also leave a link directly to this episode. And I'll also leave a link, by the way, Tom, to your King Ranch video on Out of Spec, because I'm sure some people are going to want to check that out. And then TesCalendar, I'll leave one to your calendar, man. We'll get some calendars sold, guys. Let's get those sold out.
Heck yeah.
And I think the first how close are you to the first 100? Before I mention that, actually, have you already sold your first 100? Because I know you were giving away some stuff.
Not yet. We're still very early in the pre-sales. I haven't pushed it too far yet because we have we're just about to halfway finish the calendar. So once we get towards, finishing it, then I try to push the pre-sales and get that money raised.
Awesome. Okay. So great. So there's some cool freebies that you get. I ordered 2. So I always get one for myself at work and then one for the house as well, because I always love flipping the calendar. So yeah, we've got you went through kind of I guess oddly on Ford's website, if you go to Ford.com, you cannot see anything about the 2026 Lightning. You have to be a dealer to see any of this. So he shared the dealer screen, and so you can kind of see here. I don't know how well you can see it, but the pricing breakdown is $54,780 for the Pro. It is $63,300 for the STX. So a little bit less than, I don't know what, 8,000 more. Then the Flash goes to 65, 66, it looks like. The Lariat, it starts at 75. So these all sound like discounts to me. It sounds like they're all down a bit.
Yep.
And then the Platinum is starting at 85. So it looks like we're looking at basically, if I was going to round up, it looks like we're talking about 55, 63, 66, 75, and 85. And with the fascinating one being the STX, taking and getting replacing the XLT. And there's been a bunch of things that they've gone and done that I think are interesting. I think let's start with the Pro, and we'll go through and we'll just kind of get your thoughts on each one. So the Pro is available for retail sale, and it hasn't always been historically. Let me pop this one off the screen actually while so we can get you guys back up. So the Pro is available for retail sale. It is the only one that you can order with an 80 amp onboard charger, because it is meant to be a commercial spec. It's meant to be a fleet customer, although you can order it as a retail customer now. So if you wanted to get 80 amps of charging at home, or for your fleet, it's the only one that can do it. You can't option it in any of the other ones. So I found that interesting. It now comes with 123 kilowatt hour battery standard, which Tom is what I think you have in the Flash, right?
Yep. That was one of the first VINs to get it actually in 25.
And then Alan, what do you have? Currently I have the Flash, but since we're talking about the Pro, that's what I had bought first, was the Pro standard range. I got it for a great deal in stock, because like you said, you can't order it as a non-business customer. But man, with this 123 pack instead of the original 98, I loved the Pro. I think it's a great truck with the vinyl seats and the vinyl floor. It's a phenomenal truck, and I loved it. And if it would have had the 123 pack from the get-go, I'd probably still own it. So you want to start with the Pro at $55,000, which I mean we all have to mention because it just went away. The prices without the tax credits hurt a little bit. It's just the reality of it. So when you say discounts, yes, but that's because they're also $7,500 more than they were yesterday. They might do something with that. I think I was hearing rumors about that today as well. But yeah.
And what was interesting about the Pro is one of those complex things, man, that the Pro is the only one that didn't qualify for the tax incentive. And the deal was that Ford, when they filed their paperwork, they did the paperwork for the commercial tax incentive that fleet customers apply for. But the paperwork that's required to register it with the IRS, to find it on the website and to qualify, it's not that it didn't qualify. It absolutely did. I've seen people speculate, did it have LFP? Because there were rumors years ago that they would do LFP like they did with the Mustang. People speculated that it might be made in Mexico because the Mustang is made in Mexico. But none of that's the case. It's as simple as Ford intended it to only be sold to fleet customers. And when they opened it up to retail, that was great, except because they hadn't filed the paperwork in late 2024, the 2025 did not qualify for that federal incentive for retail customers. And hey, speaking of Tim Bartz, Hey, here he is in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us there, Tim. You can keep us honest because I'm trying to go from memory and I might get some stuff wrong here. So love that you're in the chat joining us, man. That's awesome. So yeah, the Pro is just one of those weird anomalies, man. That
Yep.
it's the original truck that I want and couldn't get, and so
Same
yeah.
here. That's in 2022. Before I even got my Model 3, my goal was the Lightning Pro to be my first EV, and I tried so hard to get one, and dealers were just upcharging this, or it got sold in 5 seconds over here. And it's even funnier because when I started looking for Lightnings again earlier this year, I still want a Pro ER very bad. So I was looking at used ones. I was looking everywhere. There was a Pro ER in Georgia with like 70,000 miles. I'm like, I want to get that one over there. And then finally I settled for the new Flash. And then not 1 month later, Pro ER returns.
Yeah, it is
So
such
it's
a
been
unique. It's such a unique trim, and it might be as good as it's ever been. They also have now added running boards are now standard.
Yep.
So that's cool. So now you get a running board, 123 kilowatt hour battery standard. You can option for the 80 amp battery. You can option for the extended range battery. You can order at retail now. They're not going to be marking them up. I think, Alan, you hinted at this, but one of the things that Ford has done that just kind of came out, I think yesterday or today, is Ford Credit arm has taken in advance pre-leased a bunch of their own vehicles to themselves. And they've done it in advance of what had to be yesterday because it had to be done before the expiration of the tax credit. And I don't know, Tim, if you want to chime in the chat, man, if you know anything about these, but apparently Ford has offered out to a lot of the dealers, hey, you can lease, there's a certain amount that they must have done. And they secured whatever that amount is, and they can now, offer that essential tax incentive discount because the leasing arm of Ford has started that process, has in advance of October 1st created, I guess Ford has sold to the leasing arm of Ford these Lightnings, and I presume some Mach-E's as well. So I think, is that what you were referring to earlier, Alan?
Yeah, I didn't look into it, but that's probably what I was seeing.
Yeah, and so I guess they and GM are both getting really creative for a way to extend this, and so I think that's valid through the end of the year. They also announced that the Ford Power Promise, where you can get a charger installed, has also been extended through the end of the year. So they're doing everything they can to.
Yeah, that some of the Ford team has spoke about the Ford Power Promise. That is one of the most successful things they've launched in all of electric vehicles because it really helps people. With the uncertainty of buying electric for the first time, feel comfortable about getting behind it. Like, hey, we will pay to put in this charger for you, so it's no hassle to you. And then they have what is it? What do they call their charge network for DC fast charging?
The Blue Oval. Yep.
Blue Oval. Yep. So they've really tried to make that big change, right? The biggest change from going to electric vehicles to gas is the charging, and it makes a lot of people nervous. So they've tried to do everything they can to help ease that pain.
Yeah, I think that is a huge benefit. And whenever, like the Electrify Expo, whenever you talk to the guys that run that, they always talk about their target audience is the homeowners, the people that have the driveways, the people that have the ability to do home charging. That absolutely makes it a ton easier when you're an EV owner. So yeah, I just think that's exciting. I think the Pro Trim is as attractive as it's ever been. I think that's super cool. I think the only limit on the Pro is it's the only one where I believe you cannot get BlueCruise. Maybe the XTX you can't get BlueCruise either, but I know the Pro you do not even have the option to get BlueCruise.
Yeah, I think XLT was like that, so I don't know about STX, but that would kind of jive.
Yeah. So that the other kind of little changes that apply to all of the trims is it used to be that when you bought the mobile charger, you got the adapter, the DC adapter as part of that package with the mobile charger. That has changed for 2026. Those are two Those are two separate things now. You have to buy the mobile connector and you have to buy the mobile adapter separately. They are no longer a package. And then, yeah, Tim chiming in and verifying it's flashing above for BlueCruise. So that is good to know. So I think that's the only drawback then of the STX and the Pro is there's no BlueCruise option, which may or may not matter. There's whole parts of the country where BlueCruise isn't supported and it's not even a thing, you know? Any thoughts before we move on to STX? I think we might have lost Tom. Starlink has stopped linking.
Yeah. I'm still here, but I think the camera's making it lag a bit, so I'm gonna try to ease it a bit off. But I'm still here.
Nice. No worries, man. Yeah. So, any thoughts on the Pro guy before we move on to STX?
I need one.
You need one.
Yeah.
Tom,
they also have you can get the 20-inch carbonized gray or whatever they're called, the ones that the Flash has standard. Flash and Larry, you can get those wheels on it now.
Oh,
and it's nice. And you know what's funny? Wheel. Before the announcement that they brought Pro back, for those who hopefully have seen it, Out of Spec did a tour of the Lightning Factory in Rouge. And one of the things I noticed while I was there, I don't think I mentioned it on the video, but I was like, man, there's a crap ton of Pros being cranked out here. Like I was looking at the lineup and I was like, okay, well, I guess their fleet orders have increased or something. And then 5 days later, the Pro is back. And so now I see why I was seeing so many VINs of Pro, and they almost all of them had those 20-inch wheels as well. So they're almost certainly all extended range packs.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So speaking of that, do we know what the differences are between the 123 and the 131? It's a different chemistry, correct?
Yeah, I've been curious myself.
It's the exact same chemistry. It is just missing one module. It's it's just one module short of is my understanding of the rest. So you just leave one module out of the deal. Probably the front one. I think the front one is a little bit smaller. There's one module that I think is the smallest one. I had my battery pack out early. And I remember there was one that was a different size. I think let's see. Oh, sorry. Tim was just saying Pro is the only way to get the dual 80 amp. We did mention that earlier. Absolutely great. And then Tim was saying the Pro doesn't have the 20-inch wheel, only the 18. So did you read that somewhere or just see? Well, you were saying you saw that, Tom. You saw the 20-inch wheel on some Pro that was being built?
Yeah, a majority of them, actually. Only a few I saw 18s. So I think they were cranking out a lot of extended range packs there. And I also noticed, too, like the 123s are only on, at least from what I've gathered, Pro XTX and Flash. Lariat and Platinum still get 131, which is interesting.
Yes. Yep.
And it almost makes you wonder. I remember, way back when they were all 131, and the Platinum always had 300 miles, while the other ones had 320 or something like that, 330. And I wonder if they're like, let's even it out a bit so that it matches the Platinum.
Now they all have 300 except for the Lariat, and
the Lariat's the one that can go farther.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, man, I miss my Lariat wheels. I have the Platinum, and I got the Platinum because it was the best deal that I could get out there. And but I will switch out my 22s. It is a noticeably rougher ride than the 20s for sure.
Maybe we can trade.
Yeah, I'll send the 22s your way, man. It's
that would look good on King Range.
I know. Yeah. I've been shopping around for some. Maybe we need to make a deal.
Yeah, we got to figure out. My dream is I'm trying to convince Will F the Pump down in Southern California. He's got these 18-inch custom-made wheels that have this like subtle lightning blue on them that I just love. And so I keep hinting. I'm like, man, it's about time, dude. It's been 3 years. I think you need some new wheels. I keep trying to get those from him. They're like one of ones, and I really want those. And that's my goal. And then, dude, I'll just give you my 22s, Tom. I'll get them. I'll get them. If you got to pay to get them to you, but I'll give them to you, or you can.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
Is that would make the King Ranch look perfect?
that would be cool, man.
So we were talking a lot of battery pack size, and this might be a good moment to say, unfortunately, that's probably the 131 is probably the biggest we're going to see on the Lightning for a long time. You guys may have talked about it on the podcast before. I, of all people, with all the towing I do, would really love a much bigger pack if they would offer it. And it's just not going to happen. You know, I've seen countless videos with Jim Farley and everything else. All indications show this is where we're staying. They don't want to put more pack in there. And I get it from a business standpoint, but as one of the few consumers that want it, I'm a little bummed.
Yeah.
Yep, I feel that as someone who tows too. I love something bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Tim was mentioning the 2026 mass production 2 starts late December. So I wonder if this is the last hurrah for the Lightning as we know it, as we go here into 26, because 27 is when the new hotness is supposed to be arriving. Ford enthusiasts talking about, is there a trim that has an LFP battery like the Mach-E? And right now it's no. But I think it's coming. I think the new generation will have some LFP. They're building that LFP battery plant. They have a deal with CATL, which I'm super excited about to see what that charging is going to look like. It'll be made in America CATL batteries that are LFP. It'll be the first ever to have LFP batteries made for an EV. Tesla is working on LFP, but that's going to be for energy storage. GM is also going to do it, but I think that they are a little bit behind Ford. So as of today, there are no American-made LFP batteries used for Ford or Chevy or Tesla. They're all brought in and imported. The Mustang gets them, I think, from China or Korea. Do you guys know where they're getting them? Then they're brought in from Mexico from there.
Not sure, but the new LFPs will likely go into the Lightning, you're saying, correct?
I think the next generation, and I think they are starting. One of the things I'm completely speculating right now, but one of the things that I noticed is I'm starting to see people post on Facebook with the power promise. They're getting Emporia chargers and no longer the Charge Station Pros. And one of the things I used to say when people were like, when are they going to go next? When are they going to go next? And I'd say, well, they can't go next because they keep giving away the Charge Station Pros, which are not just J1772, they are CCS. And so those Charge Station Pros have that big honking CCS that has the DC pins that are used to power the house. So it was kind of weird because they were giving away the Charge Station Pros, which can do 80 amp charging, even though none of the trucks could do 80 amp charging. And it was like, why? Well, it made no sense. And I think it was because they anticipated selling way more. Again, I'm completely speculating, but I believe they thought we're going to sell a ton more Lightnings, 6-figure numbers of Lightnings. And they had to have all these things manufactured. And they're like, well, we're not selling them. And we're certainly not selling $1,300 chargers. Let's make this a program where we give them away. Now they're giving them away, and they seem to just now be running out of them. And so I'm hoping that that's a sign that coming up in 27, whatever the new thing is going to be, will, that we'll see a refresh and a design and something that goes to NACS. And they're starting to see Emporia chargers and not the Charge Station Pros. And maybe when that battery plant opens, we'll start to see an LFP option in there. And I'm curious what happens in 27 and beyond. I think it's, nothing's going to happen until then, certainly. And we're seeing all the 26s are still all NACS and not NACS. They're all still CCS. And that's my thoughts on it. What do you guys think?
As far as when they'll switch to NACS or
yeah.
I mean, personally, it hasn't been a big deal because I'm about 50-50 charging CCS or NACS. So until all the infrastructure switches over to NACS, I'm not super biased one way or the other because I need a charger going one way or the other. So when, I mean, it's got to be coming soon. We've been talking about it for a while, but personally, I don't think it's as big a deal as a lot of people make it yet. It will be in the future.
Yep. Because also, like the Superchargers, most of them still can't even reach the Lightning's port. A lot of the V3s I have to like park at like a little slight angle whenever I charge the V3, just so it can reach the port.
Yep. There, James is talking about they planned an LFP for the Lightning in 2024. It was an S for the 8th VIN digit. That's some solid knowledge right there. I heard they scrapped it due to the lower sales, and I did hear that they were looking at LFP for their lower trims, the Pro and the XLT, and then it just never materialized. And I know that with the federal tax incentive, it wouldn't have qualified unless it was made in the U.S., which is part of why Mustang Mach-E didn't qualify when you purchased it. Now, if you leased it, there were a lot of workarounds. You could lease the Mach-E and get incentives, but you couldn't buy the Mach-E and get the 7500 because it was made in Mexico and the LFP battery. So there were so many things working against bringing LFP into the Lightning, and so it just didn't ever seem to happen. Ford enthusiast, that I have a ChargePoint Level 2 charger installed at the house, which is awesome. That's one I've seen used a lot. Mach-E LFP. I love the LFP because you go to 100. That's the great thing is if people are used to charging to 80, but then somebody else can do a 100% on an LFP, it's the same range, right? I mean, you're kind of in the same ballpark at that point. That's where I think it's ideal. Shout out to the awesome gamer. How's it going, man? Thanks for joining. So let's get to the STX, man, because that's the one that is new and fresh, and that's gonna be it's got decals, guys, dude. Decals has to add at least a few kilowatts of energy, right? So like here's what we know about the STX, and again, Tim, correct me on these because I'm trying to remember this stuff. It's replaced the XLT. It's got the trimmer running boards. It's got the STX decal on the back. It's got the hood decal. It has cloth seats, which is a throwback to what the XLT used to have. It has 18-inch matte black wheels, which I kind of love. I'm a fan of the 18-inch wheel anyway. It's got this grabber blue kind of line on the grill, which I like those little subtle things. It's got the kind of black bumpers like the Pro does, so it's not painted to match the body. And I think the XLT was painted. I don't know if you guys remember that or not.
Yep, it was painted.
And then they've brought back the keypad option. It is an option. Remember they got rid of the keypad. Now they've brought that back as an option. Also, the STX, because it's meant for off-roading, it has an option for a vinyl floor, which, Alan, like you guys were saying, you guys like the vinyl floor. Yeah. You can option it with a vinyl floor in the STX. And if you don't like the graphics, you can delete the graphics. So, like, there's a lot that you can do there. Like, what do you guys think about how that sounds?
I love it. As someone who's been asking for Lightning trimmer for years, this is probably as close as we'll get OEM wise, but I think it's plenty. The 18s look amazing. Got the better, tighter, upfitting running boards from the trimmer, which is great for clearance. And yet another extended range pack as well. They're all running the same big packs, which is great. Did they delete the front splitter on the STX, or is it still there? I wonder if they delete the splitter to match the trimmer.
I don't think so.
Do a quick Google to see.
Yeah, I feel like all of that other design aspects they've just kind of keep the same. There's just everything else is just kind of subtle little changes. It would be cool if they would make it like I would have loved to see them add some fender flare options or some just make it look a little nasty. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, we've all been dying for like a Raptor package, which this obviously isn't quite to that level by any means, but I think it was a good way to spice up the lineup a little bit without, we all know that they're not making a bunch of money on the Lightning, so they're not going to invest a bunch of money. So it was a good way to, change things up away from XLT, hopefully get some more interest, but not, sink the bank, but to do it.
The other thing that was changed with the STX and kind of looking forward a little bit with the Flash, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I don't believe the Flash does not have phone as key, right? Or am I wrong on that?
Correct.
It's
As sad as it is.
Yep.
Yeah. And that was always frustrating for me because even my standard range Lariat, my first truck, did not have phone as key.
Oh.
And so
man.
that was, yeah. And I was like, I have a Lariat and I don't have phone as key. I didn't have BlueCruise in it. It was kind of like it was like my poor man's Lariat. And so, yeah, so that's changed this year as well. Starting at the STX, the STX and the Flash both have the option for phone as key. So it's not standard, but there is I don't know if they're going to call it a tech package or what they're going to call it, but that option includes three things. That pack has phone as key, it has the keypad that we talked about, and it has what they call the intelligent access, which is where, like, if you touch it, if you touch it with your hand, it'll unlock the front doors. I know at Platinum, the back doors have it as well, but this one will be just the front door, where as long as you have the key fob or the phone, I guess, in your proximity, you touch the handle, it'll unlock all your doors. But that will be an option for STX and Flash.
So that definitely tells me that Ford's been listening to customers and or outside of that, because that's been a critique that they've definitely heard, I think.
Yes.
But it'll be interesting because most of these Lightnings are bought off dealers' lots. They're not ordered, right? So when you say there's these options,
Will the dealer
really
option it?
Yeah, well, it'll be really interesting to see what Ford, these are kind of pre-optioned sometimes, right? They kind of get this vehicle and because it's available, to my understanding, the dealer.
Yeah, and Tim, this is a great spot for you to chime in. You're someone that you have your allocations. How do you decide, or what do you think? Because I think one of the big frustrations when it comes to going to a lot is, I think we talked about at the beginning of the show, Pro Power is an essential. I believe the 240 volt to Pro Power. Like,
Yes.
So many people I see in the forums, when I go to the Facebook groups, I feel so bad for them. At least, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a week, I see some poor person who's like, hey, can I add this Pro Power? They didn't realize when they bought it that it had the 2.4, not the 9.6. I think so many of the dealer lots don't have the 9.6 option Pro Power. How many won't have the phone as key? How many won't, which has that whole package of keypad? So people have to know, if I'm going to go to the dealer lot, I need to look for that 240 outlet. I need to look for that keypad. If I see the keypad, and even that's not a guarantee, because you can option the keypad separately.
Yep.
So you really got to make sure, do I have the keypad? Do I have the phone as key? Do I have the 240? So Tim, I'd love to hear from you. Like, how do you guys as a dealer decide what do you option with? He says, we usually go with the standard equipment and don't add options. We've been ordering Flash because of the extended range. And I know the Flash is the most popular one. When I go as an admin on the Facebook group, I see one of the questions we ask to see if it's a real person or a bot is, what trim level do you have? And the Flash is the #1 trim level by far that people that join the group are saying that they either have or are interested in. But it's also one of the biggest disappointments I see in the posts are the people that don't have some of those options, because I don't know that it's made clear. And it's exactly what you guys are talking about, guys.
I shopped around so long to find a Flash or Pro Power, because there are Flashes everywhere, like hundreds of them, but only maybe 2 or 3 per dealership. And I wanted the Pro Power, I wanted the B&O sound system, I wanted the extended range pack. It was like almost a Goldilocks, which is crazy to think about. It's pretty much the best setup you can get, the best one that would probably be the best selling setup as well. But it was so hard to find them. And then dealerships also would usually have trouble marking them with Pro Power as well. Yep. And so I did look at the photos, look in the bed, and see if it has the outlet, and the photos won't show the outlet, so I could actually go there in person. and ends up having the 2.4 instead of the 9.6. I'm like, oh, I just wasted my time.
Well, and I can probably assume why the dealers like Tim would order them without or with standard options is because if you start adding all these options in this internet era that we're in, you just look for the truck and the trim, and you look for the lowest price, and you can't have the lowest price if you have all these options. So it does make sense, but it's unfortunate.
And a lot of people probably sort by lowest to highest price.
Yep.
So interesting. I just wanted to shout out real quick. Ford enthusiast got his Bronco Sport from Long MacArthur Ford. Check that out. That's always cool.
Awesome.
Love to see that. Yeah, very cool. The Awesome Gamer, the Lariat ER rear doors do have the intelligent access. I didn't know that because, again, I had the poor man's Lariat with the standard range. Mine did not have that. So
my 25 Flash actually has that, interestingly enough.
Really?
I don't have phone key, which I would have preferred. But yeah, I walk up, touch a lot of times I'll be like grabbing groceries and stuff, and I'll go touch the driver door, and then the rear door is also unlocked.
Well, on my Platinum, and it sounds like on the Awesome Gamer on his Lariat extended range, he can touch his rear doors and they open.
Oh, no, mine can't do that. I have to touch driver's side or passenger side front.
Yeah,
both front doors.
Yeah, it's super interesting because their trims, they every year they change them, even sometimes between build 1 and build 2, which is what happened with the Flash with you, Tom, is that between builds they switch the battery. So there's
and other stuff too. I had a buddy who got a Flash only a few months before I did, and his was still considered 24, and he got power tailgate, which I didn't get.
Yeah,
he had the cloth seats. And he had the flip out desk, which I'm still bummed that we don't have for 25. I still want to retrofit one.
that should have been included.
I agree. The fact that Platinum and Lariat still get it, but not the work trims or the more likely to work trims
the spare tire.
Yeah,
the flip out desk.
The flip out desk, the center console desk.
So let's talk about that, because that was something that when I was going to look for my next truck after my first one went bye-bye. And I was shocked. For some reason, I hadn't realized that all the time that I was looking at the Flash, I never realized that it didn't have the for my kids, it doesn't have the rear seat doesn't have the fold down armrest with the cup holders. It doesn't have the center console that flips out as the work surface. Has it always been that way, or is that's only recent, right? That losing the center console.
Yeah, my Flash has the flip down, and I've got the power tailgate as well. Tom, I think I must have the diamond in the rough.
I don't.
It's got the B&O and it's got the 9.6.
Yeah, I don't.
You got it all, man.
Out. I don't have the flip out cup holders in the back. I didn't realize that was a thing. So I guess it's funny with like these running production changes. You win some, you lose some. It seems. I mean, all manufacturers do this, but for us enthusiasts that are looking for specific SKUs all the time, there's so many things that you're missing or you're getting that you didn't expect.
Yeah. I think we won't get too much into the Lariat. I think the Lariat is mostly unchanged. The Platinum Dark Elements package has been eliminated, which I always thought looked cool, but apparently nobody bought. Tim was saying phone is keys only $350. That's awesome.
That's good. That's a good.
That's
value.
a no-brainer.
I would have paid for that if given the option.
I'd pay that right now if I could.
Yeah.
I'm sad about Dark Elements though. I was while I was shopping around, I was like kind of shopping Platinum. I'm like, I know I can't afford this, but I want to see. But there is only maybe 2 Dark Element builds in Orlando in general.
Yeah,
very small numbers of them.
I think the other odd one that got deleted this year, I can't fathom why, is in the frunk area, the USB-Cs have been deleted. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, I guess it's like, okay, no big deal, but also like, why? Like, well, that could have saved you more than like a quarter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Although, have you used yours? Because I don't know that I can say I've used my USB-C
so
in the front.
I use mine, but here's why. When I go to all of my EV events and I have my What the Frunk giant speaker lights up, right? I have my iPad that is suction cupped there, and I play music or I play my Turn Down for What podcast and that kind of stuff out of those speakers. And so I have my iPad plugged into the USB-C. It's not like I couldn't plug it into the outlet. It's just that those Apple adapters, they stick out so far as opposed to a USB-C that I can get like a 90-degree. And then I have my, this is completely going to sound conceited. I have a little YouTube light up LED that also plugs into the USB-C. But again, I can use another adapter that plugs into an outlet. So I do use my USB-Cs as a dork when I'm at my EV events around the Bay Area, Cars and Coffees and all that kind of stuff with my ridiculous displays that I do. So my attention.
Stuff. That's awesome. I'm sure their assumption though, like you had mentioned, is they'll just use a block to plug it into 110 or whatever. But
right.
I'm just glad they still at least have a 110, whereas Rivian used to have outlets in the front as well. Not anymore. They don't have it anymore. So there's nothing in my front currently.
To me, that is one of those inexcusable things. I'm actually shocked that that Tesla doesn't have the 110 outlets yet. I'm shocked that the Lucid Gravity doesn't have a 110 in the back of it. Like as expensive and as amazing as the Gravity seems to be, to not have a 110 outlet to me is bizarre. I don't get it.
And also, like vehicles that have big enough packs to have, pro power level or at least close of output. Like the R1S has a bigger pack than my Lightning does, and it could theoretically power my camper for maybe 2.5, close to 3 weeks if I wanted to. But they don't. They just don't have the hardware, or not even the option. I'm pretty sure a lot of people, if they're an adventure camping manufacturer, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would pay for that upgrade if they could. I sure would have.
Yeah, the fact that we have there's all these EVs that have enough power to power your entire home for days, and they don't give you any option to tap into it. It just seems wrong. Like even if it's paid upgrade or whatever, it just seems absolutely wrong.
Yeah, definitely. Can't charge up your MacBook Pro and your Tesla. Like how?
It's crazy.
I mean, you tried it slowly, but that's it.
Well, I think the last thing, guys, that we'll touch on as we start to wrap up today's show is I just wanted to talk about the V4 Superchargers. I had the opportunity to go out when they announced those because it's in Redwood City, which is literally across the Dumbarton Bridge from where I work in Newark. And so I jumped across and of course one of the things for me is I can't actually charge the Lightning there. It's not open to non-Tesla vehicles yet. But what I did is I got phone a friend, and let me actually pull down the comments there. And I had Joe from Tesla Owners Club San Joaquin Valley, and I had Drew from Tolosa from Tello Trucks was there. Marcus also has a YouTube channel. He came up from Sacramento. He's a Cybertruck owner. And we did some charge testing, and we went down, and I got a whole video, guys, on my YouTube channel. For those who haven't checked it out yet, go see it. I do a whole tour of the site. I check out the dispensers. They've got, they're slightly new. They look like the ones that are used for the Tesla Semi. I do a tour of the cabinets. I look at the labels and show all the specs on those. And then we do a charge test on Colossus, the Cybertruck here that Joe has. And yeah, we kind of learned some things. One, it's capable of 500 kilowatts, but we never saw 500 kilowatts. In order to get there, Marcus, who came down from Sacramento, had to be at like 1% state of charge, got up over 480 kilowatts, and it held it for like 10 seconds. And then it quickly, once it got over 5%, it dropped below 400 kilowatts. We arrived with 8% state of charge, and we got to 360 kilowatts, which is still higher than you normally see. And it held the charge pretty well, over 200 for quite some time. And it still seemed faster. It seemed like it didn't get as hot. I had an infrared gun, and the handle was only in the 70s. So it seemed to have some pluses there. So I've got a whole video, guys. Check out on my channel. I'll leave a link in the description when we're done with the show. This kind of shows us charging here. Tolosa also has a video on his, and you guys can check that out. In fact, I'll leave a bunch of links in this thing later so you guys can see them. But I wanted to get your thoughts because on one hand, it's exciting. We've had these V4 cabinets, or not cabinets, but dispensers out, but never the cabinets to power them. This is one location. It's really close to the engineering team, which is a great thing to have. But, of course, we got to get them rolled out everywhere. So, yeah, any thoughts on this kind of first in the world actual V4? We've been calling them V4s forever, but this is an actual V4.
Tom, you can go first if you want.
Yeah, I'm excited from an engineering standpoint. I've been looking forward to this coming, but at the same time, like, if you've looked on Twitter and seen the reactions of it, it's very, I won't say like it's kind of blown out proportions from like a hype standpoint. It's fantastic that we can do that hardware from a hardware standpoint, but at the same time, like you said, you have to meet these very specific standards at the beginning. Had to be at super low save charge, and you're gonna see it for like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
and it's only for Tesla right now. So honestly, like, well, a Cybertruck can do it for a tiny bit. There are probably even other vehicles that are even more capable of doing it that we haven't seen yet because it's just locked on the Tesla. But it does make me wonder, in the future, will we see that actually last longer than a few seconds? It's not 500 kilowatt charging. It's like 500 kilowatt peak or start,
yes.
or initial charging. You're not up there all the way to 50%. That's I wish, but unfortunately, that's only overseas currently.
Yeah, and this is the part where I walk through. These are the actual cabinets here. This is what people talk all the time. I was talking to somebody on X, and they were like, "Oh no, like the Tesla restaurant has V4 chargers," and I'm like, "No, they have V4 dispensers. They don't have V4 cabinets." And so each one of these cabinets here can do 8 dispensers. So 2 cabinets, 16 dispensers. But if they're all charging, that's only 125 kilowatts each. And so these are the same cabinets that do the 1.2 megawatt chargers for the Tesla Semi. These are the same dispensers that the Tesla Semi uses with a different cable, of course. These platforms and these bollards are slightly different. I screwed up here and called the V3s 350 kilowatt chargers, and they're 250, so I had to edit that. So yeah, I think not everybody understands. I think some of the benefits obviously will be that this makes it easier for a truck like my Lightning to park with the better cable, the longer cable. But to your point, right now, nobody but Tesla can plug in. But I kind of understand that from an engineering standpoint as well, because they need to figure out how this is going to work on their own equipment before they open it up to everybody else. But the engineer that was there did say it would open up to everybody else by the end of the year, sometime in Q4. So that'll be encouraging. How long will it take them to roll them out? Will they go and replace all the cabinets with existing Q4 dispensers with existing V4 dispensers with V4 cabinets, or will they, start new sites as V4s and only when they get an inventory of them start to go backwards? So many questions,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. My biggest concern with them, and this is coming from the V3s, is the thermal throttling, right? We know from our Lightnings that with the Lightning curve, where it just holds 120 kilowatts all the way to 80%, pretty much no matter when you plug in, that the cables struggle with overheating, or the adapters, or whatever it is. Something in the system is getting hot and causing the charge to dip, causing it to charge longer. So, as these EVs get better and better and we can get faster charging, we need these 500 kilowatt stalls. But I just really hope that the cables can output not 500 kilowatts for, maybe someday, but right now, if a charger could hold 200 kilowatts or 250, that's a really good charge. We got all excited by the big numbers like 500, but if any EV today can just charge at 250 until 80%, that's going to be an insanely fast charge. And we have that are capable of that today. From Electrify America, Alcatronic, all kinds of other chargers that can do that. But we don't have vehicles necessarily that can do that yet. So it's this weird conglomerate of all those things coming together. So that for these superchargers, that's my biggest thing I'm looking for is what is its best charge curve for the cable, for the stall, for the station.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a 250 that stays longer is a lot more valuable than a peak at 500, for sure.
And I think
Especially when that peak requires you to be below 5%, right? I mean, most people do not want a road trip like that. We've started the road trip much more, now that we have the Lightning and the Buzz and it has a little bit different charge curve too. Like we want to arrive at 10%. Why? Because we just don't want to stress at all, right? We can just cruise in, plug in, charge to whatever, do it again. Whereas when I was optimizing with the Tesla, trying to pull in at 3% or less, there's times when you're driving 55 or slower on the highway, kind of getting real nervous, and that really isn't that fun, and people don't love doing that.
Yeah, outside of the out of spec videos, that's, I'm not going to bring my wife and my kids when I'm traveling and get down to 1 or 2%. Like I would never do that to them. If I'm out there, I don't mind messing around, but I'm not going to, as a family person, you're just not going to do that to them. So, and there's a lot, man, there's so much to unpack there, right? Because so many people, while we understand the nuances of charging and temperatures and curves and pack voltage and, how some, like in a Lightning, you actually want your state of charge to be a little bit higher, whereas in a Tesla, you want it to be really low. There's so many nuances to this. But for the average EV owner, if they pull up and they think, oh, great, 500 kilowatts, but they're in a Model 3, a Model Y, it's not going to make any difference whatsoever. But for a Gravity, it'll make a difference. For an EGMP car, it's going to make a lot of difference. For a Lucid Air, it could make a lot of difference one day. Maybe Tesla will redo their charge curves, and that'll make a lot of difference. The future cars coming out that are native NACs, maybe that'll make a lot of difference. Maybe it will help with the thermals. It did seem, at least on our singular charging experience, that it didn't get as hot. Certainly as a V3, it's nowhere near as hot as a V3 does, which makes sense because it's a liquid cooled cable. There's a lot of reasons, that it should be better from that standpoint. But my Lightning's not going to charge necessarily any faster. Its max is going to be its max. It's going to do what it's a 400 volt, and I don't even know if you could really call it that. It's a mid 300 volt pack. So, not everybody's going to understand that. And it'll be interesting to see as it's out there in the wild more, as that expands, like what people experience with it. As you get out there with the out of spec team and really start to stress test it and put it through numerous paces, as Tom Malogany gets out there and does some videos, as Brandon Flash, I know he's going to do some videos. So as they get out there, it's going to be fun to see, what they do to these things.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the new GM packs, the 24 module, the big 200 and some kilowatt pack, because it does not do well on current superchargers, right? Your max being 250, it's an 800 volt pack. I think they get like 140 kilowatts or something, and they hold that probably for a long, long time, but it's 200 kilowatts. It's an hour and a half, 2 hour charge, which isn't great. So when you come to this 500, are they going to get 250? And if it holds that 250, like I just mentioned, for 30 minutes straight, that'd be a phenomenal charge.
I think that's the secret to the Lightning, is not that it's got this great peak voltage, but that it holds that flat voltage for so long, that flat kilowatts for so long. I think that, and there's so many of the Teslas fall off a cliff. And the Lightning, if you're doing like a 10 to 80, the Lightning a lot of times catches up, and it's got a comparable curve to a lot of other vehicles out there that have a better peak. And the Rivian, I know, Tom, you could probably speak to this. The Rivian has some thermal challenges, doesn't it, when it gets on some of those charging, those peak charging curves, doesn't it?
It does, especially on superchargers. I actually road tripped with my R1S today, and we hit 2 superchargers in a RAN station, and the 2 superchargers, of course, both had thermal issues toward 70-75%. We're getting ready to do the temperature, and that's kind of just the common thing. It's going super well, and it's just going to drop because of the temperature. Meanwhile, on the RAN, we were all the way up to like the 90s before we saw it was derating like it normally would, but we're not for temperature until like 95. Then it was finally temperature dropping, which makes sense.
I'm hoping because you can run 8 cabinets, because you can run 8 dispensers off one cabinet, that one of the benefits will be that it will be cheaper and easier to deploy locations, that it'll be more reliable, that there's a number of benefits, I think, to expanding supercharging networks that could come into play. You're using the same chargers, same charging cabinets for Tesla Semi. Hopefully that drives costs down. I'm hoping there's a lot of shared engineering and shared technology and shared manufacturing that has some engineering and some production benefits that over the long term, everything all together a couple of years from now, we start to see those benefits in that way that aren't necessarily as apparent here in October of 2025. Maybe it doesn't translate to anything that's going to impact the Model 3 or the Model Y, or our Ford Lightnings, but it's going to translate to things that for future model vehicles and for the future expansion of charging will benefit, those areas that we're not thinking about.
Yeah, it reminds me of when Electrify America came out with the 350 kilowatt stalls. I kind of scoffed at it when it came out and said, that's great. Who can charge that fast? Because at the time, I don't know that there was anybody that could. Yeah. But now you've got vehicle after vehicle pushing that limit. The Lucid Gravity is at like 400 kilowatts or something.
Yeah.
And Porsche's got some, obviously GM with their big packs. So you've got more and more vehicles that need that. Okay, so now what's next? Just like you're saying, because we're going to continue to push that envelope year after year.
So that's why I'm excited about them. Not because my Lightning is going to do any different or because, my wife's Model Y is going to do any different. They're not. It's that stuff, I think. Yeah. I think that's a great comparison, man, that EA comparison. It's ahead of where it needs to be. A lot of us are not going to benefit from it whatsoever. I'm more about what you just said. Well, fellas, I think that's going to call it a night. We've just broken the hour mark. We've got had some great comments today. Great to have you guys on. I appreciate it. Thank you for everybody in the audience. That I know it's been a few weeks since we've been on, and I apologize. The fellas are going to get back on an episode soon, I promise. Thanks to Tim Bartz for chiming in and helping us out with some of these details on the 2026. I'm looking forward to seeing videos about that. I'm super excited about the STX. Any final thoughts, guys? Let's go around the horn, and we'll start with Tom, man. Anything in closing things to say?
I'd like to finish figuring out if you'd like to give me your wheels.
Yeah. I got to find some wheels, and then we will get you some wheels.
In all seriousness, I'm excited for the 26. I think the 26 lineup is a bit more exciting. Long live the XLT. I love the XLT, but I'm pretty sure this new line will be pretty good. I'm pretty sure we'll start seeing. I'm actually curious if we'll start seeing STXs more than Flash because people want the sporty look. So that data I'm looking forward to. I would have bought the STX for the Flash. Same here. So
I think it looks so good from the pictures I've seen.
It looks awesome, and then I'm the one of the few people that prefer the not vertical screen just because I like the layout of Sync on the regular screen better. And then since the STX has that, it's another reason why we've gotten it.
I mean, the bottom quarter of the screen, it's just your air conditioning controls and your volume stuff. You can't change it. You can't move it. You can't put anything there. So who cares if they're solid buttons?
Exactly.
Honestly, the solid buttons function better too when I had
the do. Flash. 100%. And you can use muscle memory and everything like that. And
there's no lag whatsoever with them because they're just buttons.
Yep. Yeah. Tap 3 times on the screen before your AC pops up. I could go on.
Yeah.
But thanks for having us, though. This was great.
Absolutely. Alan, give us your final wisdom thoughts.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us. It's been a lot of fun to talk more about Lightnings and other electric vehicles. As we kind of mentioned at the start, we're in the mix of the TesCalendar photo contest. So if any of you guys have a Tesla and want to contribute pictures to that photo contest, we'd love to have you. It's a lot of fun, and I don't know, we get to see a lot of awesome images. I know Chris got to be in it the one year with it was a Tesla T, and at the tip of the T was his Ford Lightning. So I love when stuff like that gets to sneak in. So yeah, thanks again.
One of my early proudest moments as an EV owner was getting into that calendar, and it's I appreciate you being so awesome and being open to that. That was super cool. So our Tesla Owners Club East Bay, which is funny. I was a member of Tesla Owners Club East Bay before I ever owned a Tesla, and shout out to them for being. That is a great representative example of the difference between, and why I love Tesla and the Tesla community is because there's a bunch of people online, and there's the online world and how people interact and what people think. And then there's these great group of folks here in the East Bay that I hung out with and broke bread with and do drives with. Didn't even own a Tesla, and these guys took me in as one of theirs. Joe, who was in the video we saw earlier from San Joaquin Valley, was the first one to invite me to a Cars and Coffee. There's my Lightning surrounded by 50 Teslas, and they all treated me like one of them as part of the movement, part of the community. Both of those groups were incredibly welcoming. Joe from Tesla Owners Club Silicon Valley, he is the one that let me do a Cybertruck video with him. It's his video that launched my YouTube channel and got 140,000 views. Is 3 Tesla Owners Clubs that have created like what I am, and as a Ford owner. So yeah, man, like I'm a big fan and respect to the Tesla community. It is more than, one CEO, and it's more than the vitriol and the politics that so much has been muddied by. So that's why I love, what you guys represent, because you guys have had multiple EVs. You're a huge part of what I see in person, and you guys are online the way although I've never met either of you, I imagine you're that way in real life. And I appreciate what you guys do and what you guys create and your calendar. That's why I like to support you. And man, I appreciate having you guys on the show. It's a true honor. So thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, that'll close it out, guys. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. Check out all of our our content, our channels. I'll leave links after the show. I'll edit everything and get them in there. And we'll see you on the next one, guys.